Great. I think we're live, Sandy.
Good.
Yay,
Awesome.
yeah, exciting. So welcome, everybody. My name is Rick Adams from Practical CSM. And if you've been attending this series, this is a series on thought leadership, where I interview a different thought leader in the customer success space every month. And I'm delighted this month to have with me somebody who I've kind of grown a little bit of a relationship with, I think, over the last 12 months, which is Sandy Keys, who is the Senior Director of Global Customer Success at Dell Technologies. Sandy, pleased to meet you, and hi.
Hello. And first of all, thank you for allowing me to be here. Thanks for the invitation. And to the audience, welcome. I'm excited to be here. We're going to have a great conversation. It's interesting, though, that we're having this conversation today because we're just ending Dell Technologies World. This is our biggest customer and partner event that ended yesterday. So we're on the heels of DT World 2023. So an exciting time. And I know we're going to be talking about leadership, but for those that attended in person, for those of us who watched online through streaming video, I have to tell you, from a leadership perspective, watching our CEO, Michael Dell, deliver a keynote address is super exciting. I know for me personally, attending those types of conferences where we have our customers, our partners, and having Michael Dell and our executive leadership team kick off a session and speak directly to our customers. It's inspirational. It's motivational. We have an opportunity during DT World to talk about advances in technology. We're going to talk about that today, Rick, I'm sure, as well as our partnerships, our alliances that we're making to really help address our customers' problems and come up with some solutions and some outcomes to those problems and solving those problems. So this is an exciting week at Dell. I can tell you just real quick, if you give me a moment, that on the first day, we talked about the future of work, right? What an exciting thing to talk about, especially when you think about technology. What a great, if you think about the last 30 to 40 years, how technology has changed. We talked about cybersecurity, artificial intelligence, the edge, and multi-cloud. So many of our customers are focused on their multi-cloud strategy, right? How to provision workloads to the cloud, on-prem, hybrid cloud environments, and some really strategic partnerships that we're aligning with to perform and help our customers achieve some of those goals. So exciting week, and it's great to be able to go back and watch some of that streaming video. Again, just a great week, a great week at Dell. And anyway, I'm really excited to be here. I do just want to say one thing before we kick off our session. From a customer success perspective, I think it's super important to thank our customers, thank the audience for being here, but also thank you, Rick, for your partnership with Dell. This has been such a great alignment with Practical CSM. You've been a huge part of our continuous development as being customer success practitioners. So thank you for that.
Well, that's so kind of you. I was not going to bring up the fact that Dell Technologies is a Practical CSM customer. That's not the purpose of this at all. So it's very, very kind of you to bring that up. Thank you. And also, when you've had such a busy week, to take the time out to spend an hour with me, I really do appreciate it. And okay, we have only got an hour, so let's get going. And by the way, before we do, I should just say we do very much encourage people listening in. If you have any questions for Sandy, feel free to type them into the chat window and we will pick them up as we go along, or indeed for me. Or if you have any maybe observations of your own, maybe you've experienced something that we're talking about and you've got an angle that we haven't thought of, or something to add into the conversation, please feel free to do so. I think it makes it much more interesting if we get, you know, the perspective of everybody involved here. And I always think that no matter how expert I may or may not think I am, which is, you know, not necessarily all that expert anyway, but no matter how long you've been in a profession, there is always going to be other ideas that are worth listening to. So please, please, please do contribute into the chat window as much as you want to do so as we go forwards. And I think probably the start point should be just to ask our guest to introduce herself a little bit in terms of her background, where you've come from, your journey into customer success, and then maybe after we've just discussed that, we'll get on to a little bit more about your position now. But tell us about the journey that got you here, please, Sandy, if you don't mind.
Yeah, sure, absolutely. Well, as Rick mentioned, my name is Sandy Keys, and I lead our global customer success organization within Dell Technologies. I specifically, myself and my team, specifically focus on our DT Select organization. So if you think about a pyramid, you've got several different layers of customers. We actually have 28 million customers today. And the customer segment that our team focuses on, rough and tough, 120 customers, right? Those customers range from automotive, manufacturing, healthcare, telco. You know, there's a wide variety of customers that we support, which is a really great opportunity to learn from our customers, learn about their unique needs. And, you know, it's a really exciting time to be able to be a part of that part of the organization. Our DT Select segment focuses on our top 200 Fortune customers. As I mentioned, a variety of different industries. And it really gives us an opportunity to have meaningful and impactful conversations with those customers. What led me to this role? Well, I have over 20 years of experience in the technology industry. I've served in many different roles. I've had experience in pre-sale, business development. I have a business degree with a major in marketing, so I spent a number of years working on demand creation, demand generation, really understanding customer needs, right? So marketing was a big part in my career. Also focusing on sales. I mean, sales is just really critical. And we work very closely at Dell with our sales organization. We partner very closely with them. We have an opportunity to be their trusted advisor as they engage with their customers. But this particular segment I'm talking about, DT Select, we have a core account team, and our team is a part of that core account team.
Right.
We're perfectly aligned with them. We're in partnership with them, having, like I said, those meaningful conversations with those customers. I will tell you that in these roles that I've had, there's always a really common trait, a common quality. And I would just share with you, I love being able to develop relationships, right? People are everything.
Right.
And if we didn't have our customers, we wouldn't be successful in the role that we have today. So I really enjoy that aspect of it, building relationships. We are in a relationship building industry. So, you know, that's a big part of it, right? And then problem solving. You know, I would just tell you a short little story, but if you think about problem solving, even as a parent, you know, I can't begin to tell you how many times, you know, one of my children has come to me on a Sunday night that says, I have a project that's due tomorrow. And you're thinking, I'm in stealth mode. I've got to figure out how I'm going to solve this problem, because you want your children to be successful. And in the professional world, we're dealing with changes and those types of initiatives and engagements on a regular basis with very tight timelines. So problem solving is really critical as a trait in this role. And I love it. I really love it. The other part of it is results. We are results driven. You're going to hear me say multiple times that outcomes, right? You'll hear that me say that pretty much on a regular basis. But that's really what myself and my team is focused on. We have 19 customer success executives that are aligned in our group, and they're strategic leaders. We have a high performing team, and they really focus on addressing the customer's needs on a regular basis. And they all do a really great job. I'm very excited and proud to be a part of that organization, because I want to surround myself with those individuals who, the reality is, they're a lot smarter than me. But we have a really great team. We're really focused on making sure that we understand what our customers' needs are. And then when our customers invest in our products, services, and solutions, it's incumbent upon us to make sure that we help them achieve their outcomes. They have business objectives, IT priorities, and it's a careful balance to be able to manage that. So I have a great team. We work really well together. There's a lot of collaboration, a lot of best practices, lessons learned. And so that's a little bit about myself, a little bit about my team, and the group that we support.
But you haven't always been with Dell Technologies, right?
No. I've been with other multinational companies, and there's a variety of different roles, as I mentioned, but beyond Dell, and by the way, many of the comments that I'm going to state today really stem from not only just Dell, but my roles and responsibilities that I've had with other companies, and be able to share that leadership. But for the most part, customers are our top priority, regardless of what startup, medium-sized business, or large enterprise business.
Okay, that's really cool.
Yeah.
So look, Dell Technologies, as you said, has literally millions of customers. You in the global customer success team look after, did you say 128? Was it something like that?
Rough and tough, 130 customers.
130. So how on earth do you determine which of those millions end up as being your, what's the factor that they end up as being one of your team's customers that you're going to manage? Is it literally just size, or is it complexity in terms of their needs? Is it about their aspirations, or indeed Dell Technologies' aspirations? What is it that makes them end up as one of your 130 that you're going to look after?
Well, first of all, the 130 accounts, we try to think about what are their IT goals, what are their what are they focused on. We try to look at those customers that are moving forward with a transformation pursuit. It could be IT transformation, right, workplace transformation, digital transformation, right, security transformation, and adopting our best-in-class product, services, and solutions is really key. So I would say that our account team really focuses on building those strategic relationships with those customers. And the unique thing about our account team is we have a core account team. They're completely dedicated to those 130 accounts, right? So adopting our product, services, and solutions is really key. We can help them be successful. It's really important that we focus on their business outcomes and make sure that we document for them what those outcomes are. It really is a collaboration between ourselves and our customers. And I would say for the most part, our customers are very much aligned and think of Dell as a strategic partner.
Right. Yeah. So it's a combination of the strategic importance of Dell Technologies potentially and in reality right now as well to those clients, their willingness to work with you, and the fact that Dell Technologies sees that this organization has aspirations that Dell Technologies can help them with, and that there is value in partnering very closely with them to help them to get where they need to get to, right?
Yeah. And the other aspect of it is listening to your customer, right?
Important.
Yeah, that's super important. But every year we launch a very large project. It's a high touch program where we have an opportunity to meet with C-level executives, gather their feedback, and good, bad, or indifferent. We always want to, if they're going to highlight some really great things that we're doing, let's celebrate those successes, right?
Right.
And if there's area that we need to improve upon, areas that need additional education, it's super important that we listen to our customers, take their feedback very seriously, and then put an action plan in place. Having that closed loop process is super important. Making sure that they know that their voice is heard.
Yeah.
And we take action on that. So not only do we want to have and build that strategic relationship with our customers, but we also want to hear from them. We want to make sure that we're achieving their goals, achieving their expectations, and making sure that we continue to have that bi-directional conversation with them.
Okay, and I would say that, I mean, obviously, again, because of the size of Dell Technologies, and you've got a very focused team, as I understand it. It's a smallish team. There's 19 of you. You said, and a question has come up from Hannah Finch. She says, Sandy, how do you specialize within the team? Do they all do the same thing? Do they share accounts? Are they split vertically or by their personal strengths, or by the customer profile, maybe by customer segment, for example? So how do you go about doing that?
Well, that's a great question. But last year, and what I think is always important in customer success is account segmentation. It's super important to understand your customers, their profile, their business needs, their IT priorities, really where they're focused on, and making sure that we do account segmentation first. Secondly, our team, I might have mentioned this earlier, but we're a high-performing team. We're very technical in nature because we have to be, right? We have to keep up with the technology trends, advancements in technology, and making sure that we're up to date with everything. So a variety of our customers are split up in different ways. For myself, I focus on non-telco accounts, and then I have my peer who focuses on telco and strategic partnerships. And then I have another peer that focuses on account management services. So we work very close together to ensure that we have an integrated model, an integrated collaboration engagement to make sure that whatever needs our customers have, that is a top priority. And then we show up with a sense of urgency. Before I move past that, I will share with you that at Dell, there's more than just our team that's a customer success part of our organization.
Yes.
There's other customer success individuals that focus on project management. We have one moment in time when we engage with our customers. So we want every single touch point with our customer to be impactful internally within Dell. So that's super important. And we work with other customer success individuals that are like-minded, like ourselves. So although customer success is a wide term, but for our customer segmentation, it's super important that we provide them with an elevated experience.
Well, absolutely. And what's quite interesting, I think, is what you said earlier, is that although Dell Technologies, very large organization, revenues of over 100 billion, employs over 160,000 people worldwide. I mean, it's a very, very big organization. But when it comes down to customer success management, at the end of the day, I see it as being a bit like a three-legged stool. There are the sort of three aspects that support the customer success manager: is your knowledge and understanding of the customer, your knowledge and understanding of your product, and then your ability to perform customer success best practice. You could argue a fourth leg. I like to argue a fourth leg, which is personal qualities. So you were mentioning, things like being self-disciplined and being energetic and having an inquiring mind and being able to be adaptable and creative in problem solving, being able to make friends easily and get on with people is so important. But I think that almost all of customer success management is B2B, and almost all of it is really adding the value, because we are selling our customer actually really a complex solution of some kind, be it a service or a product or a combination of those things combined together to actually really to a sophisticated customer who's got a lot of knowledge and understanding, far more than we will have, of their business, but needs us to understand enough of their business for the context and have enough understanding of our product to be able then to help them through our best practices in customer success management to make the most out of what they have purchased. And that is just such I think, a fascinating role to have, that uses both sides of the brain that you were describing earlier in all of those different qualities that a good customer success manager has to have. Any thoughts on that?
Well, beyond what you just mentioned, our particular team, I like to view us as being holistic in our approach with our customer. It's not just focusing on a transaction or a transformation, but it's looking at other opportunities where we can drive meaningful, impactful conversations. I always like to try to tell our team, let's understand what their earnings call are, their annual report, and try to find some nuggets of information to drive a more deeper and meaningful conversation that's really critical to them. Right. We all know that transactions and transformations are really critical to drive growth within Dell or any multinational company. But what's also important is to make sure that we have a bi-directional conversation that's meaningful to other areas for them, right? So if you think about, particularly this year, we have a strong focus on environmental, social, and governance. We have one of our main pillars is focusing on advancing sustainability in our products that help in a green data center, right? And a circular economy, making sure that we have an opportunity to look at some of the infrastructure in their environment. And when they're ready for a refresh, what's our process to be able to take back that equipment, redundant equipment, and put it back into a circular economy. So that's just another area that we like to focus on. It truly means that we're having those, strategic partnerships with our customers.
And I guess it starts really with, with that consultative approach, right? That listening approach that you were saying how important it is to listen to what their problems are, what their challenges are, what keeps them awake at night, what they're worrying about, what they need to do, why they need to do it. And you also mentioned how important outcomes is. So having worked out what having defined the challenge, then of course is the next stage is, well, then if that's the problem, what result do we want? And sometimes the customer needs some help, right, to really define what the outcome needs to be. They don't always necessarily know. Would you agree with that?
I would. And, our approach is, when we speak to our customers, and if there is a transformation or a transaction, we always want to look at the customer's approach. We have a methodology that's an outside-in approach, making sure that we understand our customers' expectations. Obviously, they've been given a budget. They have to make investments. And when they make investments in our products, services, and solutions, it's incumbent upon myself and our team to ensure that that they receive value realization and business outcome based on that. It can be a challenge sometimes. It's not easy. But we always want to make sure that we're having that conversation. We're partnering with our customer to ensure that we optimize their desired outcomes. And a transformation really takes a long time, right?
I think these days with the rate of change, it is unending, right? I mean, by the time you have completed the transformation that you had in mind, X months or years ago, there's new challenges already, right? So it's an unending circle rather than
or they're ready for the next phase of that transformation. Let's just say, for example, it's an IT transformation. Well, they're going through that journey. It generally takes 15 months, 18 months.
Yeah, and you don't want to bite it all off in one go, right? It's going to make you unproductive, not necessarily secure. People aren't going to know what they're doing. You need to bring them with you. There's only so much change anyone can manage. So that makes sense to me, yeah.
But naturally, the next phase would be cyber security, cyber resiliency. Okay. And I'm just saying that normally what I've seen within our customer base has always been IT transformation or a workforce transformation, but security is really critical.
Absolutely, these days.
There's so much data out there they're protecting, and it's incumbent
and not always their own data as well, right? It's their customers' data and so on. Yeah, no, it's a great point.
It's super important that when we think about our customers and protecting their data, and compliant with that we look internally with our own solutions to make sure that we're protecting our customers' data.
Okay. Well, we've had some really interesting questions coming in, so let me get to some of the questions. Now, some of these I don't know. Well, this first one, I don't know whether you want to take this one offline. This is from Vikash, who says, as a Dell employee, under the mentorship program, can we apply and get a mentor to learn and grow in customer success? Which is a nice, a fantastic aspiration. Well done, Vikash. Any hints to Vikash as to what he can do to help himself there?
Well, I know our conversation is about large enterprise. Some of the value that we bring as a large enterprise at Dell or any other multinational organization is really around mentorship, right? We do have a program at Dell that's called Mentorship Circles. In fact, for leaders, we do have leaders that we can be mentors, or as new leaders, we can be mentees. And it's so critical. I can't begin to tell you how important networking is, mentoring is. And then if you mentor with someone who's in a different part of the organization, what a great opportunity to learn more. I know for me personally, I love to learn. I think developing those relationships and get guidance from another individual who has maybe more experience than I do. And if it's a mentee, I love being able to have an opportunity to mentor. In fact, this summer, we have a summer internship program at Dell, and I get the opportunity to mentor.
That must be great. Yeah,
I love it. And I always say that mentoring an individual never ends. by the way, I'm a part of an organization. We have 13 employee resource groups within Dell. I'm a part of the Latino Connection ERG, and I had 2 years ago a mentee that we continue even today, 2 years later, and we're still communicating. In fact, she'll be starting in July. She's graduated with her master's and is returning to Dell as a full-time employee.
Lovely.
Yeah, but mentorship.
She obviously enjoyed her internship, and I'm sure you were a part of that. So, Vikash, why don't you reach out to Sandy, and maybe Sandy can sort of put you in the right direction on that one. Loads of other questions.
One additional comment.
Please do. Yeah.
I'm sure there's the audience that's out there. I love networking. I love to share best practices. So feel free to reach out to me on LinkedIn. I'd love to meet you, have a conversation with you. Networking is super important. That's and I would invite anyone to reach out to me directly.
And by the way, in general, to grow your customer success career, LinkedIn is fantastic. Use it. One of the nice things about customer success management as a profession is it tends to be full of people who like people and who are willing to connect and want to connect and enjoy connecting. So it's very, very easy to make lots of professional connections in the customer success profession on LinkedIn. So it's a great tool to use. So so thank you, Vikash. Abdul Rahman says, how do you deal with reactants on the team to adapt to new ways of work? For example, adopting canvases or new managerial techniques?
Well, I would just say that managerial techniques are different, and I'm always learning. I'm always trying to develop myself, develop, how we manage our team. But I would tell you a really solid best practice is that I really empower our team to be able to run their business, right? And so I, always looking at opportunities to improve myself as a leader, and then share those best practices with my team. I always say that I work for my team, so I try to develop them and share those best practices. And there's always new techniques that are out there, and it's really dedicating time for continuous professional development. So hopefully I answered that question, but
I would add to that obviously you have invested in an external relationship with a training provider to provide ongoing CPD for your team. So that shows how seriously you take it, right?
Absolutely. And at Dell specifically, I'll talk about Dell. Our team has every quarter an opportunity to grow in their leadership skills, opportunity to strengthen their soft skills. There's always an opportunity to learn. Every beginning of the year, we always have this process that's called our strategy cascade. Yes. And it's really our executive leadership team, top down, that's explaining to us that this is what's going to be our focus for the year. So if that's our focus for the year, then our team needs to be educated and enabled to be able to have those meaningful conversations with our customers related to those technologies.
And these are the things, guys, that I've always worked alongside enterprises, but I've always worked in small businesses, that I've always looked at the enterprise and thought, wow, this is fantastic. If you work for an enterprise, you've got this opportunity for things like mentorship programs, for things like training that is available, that is the best of the best of breed. Avail yourself of it. Get out there and make use of all the fantastic resources that larger enterprises have and make available, because it's one of the things that, if you like, is a luxury that an enterprise can do that a small business may not be able to do, is to have that sort of reach and have that ability to provide a very high quality experience to bring on your career. So
Yeah.
make use of it. Lots of other questions. Oh, sorry, go ahead, Sandy. Yeah.
I was just going to say, I think what's really critical is expanding your network with customer experience professional associations, right? That's really great to be able to network, meet new individuals. I think that's really critical to be able to go outside and beyond and work with other like-minded customer success practitioners.
Right. And again, customer success lends itself to community and to discussion because of the type of people who are more attracted to a customer success type role than perhaps some other more technical roles, or more purely technical roles, I should say. So let's get to some of these other questions. So I think I've missed a couple. Let me go back up. So Randy says, really just a comment, customer satisfaction is the end all of your delivery expectation. Okay. Christopher Williams has a question. From Dell World announcements surrounding AI, can you share your thoughts on the impact of the AI initiatives, what that will be on customer success over time? And I think that, within Dell, but within the entire profession, it's the same thing. AI is going to have a massive impact on customer success management and is already having an impact. So any thoughts on customer success and AI?
Well, I would share with you that if I was to think about where customer success is going to be leading, absolutely automation, artificial intelligence. And when we think about artificial intelligence, predictive analytics, chatbots, there's a great opportunity for us to really improve as customer success practitioners in this area. I'm really excited for the next 2 to 5 years where we're going to have just a different way of engaging with our customers. But for my team specifically, our top 130 customers, it really means that personalized engagement. Right. We have to do that.
And of course, Dell being Dell with your big data, you're in a position to be part of the solution here, right?
Absolutely. And then you start to think about the different platforms, right? It's super important that we have a platform that identifies the account health at any given time, that early warning system that helps us do our job much more effectively, efficiently, and being able to be ahead of those conversations that we're having with our customers. I think that gives Dell a competitive advantage when we have platforms like that, and we improve them along the way.
And AI is going to really make a big difference there, right? I mean, being able to spot things earlier, and not just spot them and just flag them, but perhaps spot them, flag them, and make recommendations. Right? Take it that stage further, is actually not just say there's a problem, but say there's a problem and here's what the solution would be.
Yeah, I would also say that our team, from a customer success perspective, we really want to be proactive. We really want to make sure that we can foresee challenges that are going to be taking place within an account, but that really requires you to have a really strong synergy with your customer, really understand their persona, their profile, and make sure that you're completely engaged and personalize your engagement with them. So, again, just being proactive is really critical. Back in the day, we were always reactive. Something happened and we're just trying to, to just solve the business problem immediately. That's where we don't want to be. We want to be ahead of the curve.
Right. And we don't really want clients with problems. What we want is clients who avoided the problems, because we help them to know in advance how to duck that issue in the first place and never experience the problem, right? That's the ideal in business, is not to have problems, because AI or other ways of working have helped us to avoid those issues in the first place.
Yeah, but
an
you
ideal
will
one.
always find that with technology, with our customer set, complex solutions going into a complicated environment, their infrastructure ecosystem not only includes Dell, but other
Of
strategic
course.
partners
Yeah.
that are in their environment, is really an opportunity for us to make sure that we're managing all aspects of
Right.
their infrastructure.
And that's what's wanted, isn't it? Is that holistic approach is so important from the business person's point of view. They're not looking at it from the individual sort of technology component perspective. That's not what of interest to them. As you said, it's the outcome that is important, and the outcome only comes when everything is aligned, when everything's working. So how you get that working as a whole, as a system, rather than being bogged down in the component details. Very important.
Right.
All right. Well, there's a couple more questions. There is also Randy has come back and said Sandy always puts her team first and walks the walk. So that's very nice. And Vikash also says thanks a million, Sandy and Rick. Thank you, Vikash, for your question. Abdul Rahman, says thank you, Sandy and Rick. Thank you. But keep the questions coming, guys. There is one from David. David Delosier says, can you speak to the fine line that your CSMs have to walk between your customers and your sales team? How do you successfully implement those different conversations between CSM and sales with your customer without causing any confusion at either entity? Any thoughts on the demarcation between customer success management and sales or account management?
Well, two fundamental principles.
Okay.
First, our role is our internal customers with the account team, and of course our external customers, right? So we align very closely with the account team. We work alongside with them. They continue to sell. We continue to help with the post and sale, and making sure that that we focus behind the scenes to make sure that every single point along the way, Rick, our customer has a superior experience, right?
Yeah.
And so we partner very closely with our client executives, our client principals, our delivery principals. In addition to that, we have cross collaboration with other teams that we work very closely with. And again, we're all like-minded individuals, knowing that top of mind, our customer, their success.
That's it.
Is really, really critical.
That's the thing, isn't it? It's turning the table around and looking at things from the customer perspective. That's what's important, I believe, in this conversation. What clients don't want is to have the feeling of being thrown from one person or one pillar to another pillar, and there to not be any sort of joined up journey for them. What they want is a joined up experience where they don't notice who they're speaking to or whatever. It's very clear and comfortable for them, and they can pick up the conversation with you that they had with the salesperson, and you're going to be able then to follow up with that and work with that salesperson without them sort of having to roll their eyes and explain it all again because you weren't joined up with it internally. And I think that's so important, because at the end of the day, we're here to serve the customer, and it's the customer experience that we need to put first. So I think that, and the thing there is that, of course, that attitude of customer first and the customer journey and the customer experience being important has to come from the top. So it's a cultural issue. So I have been in organizations and consulted in organizations where there is actually some tension between different departments and teams, where they don't share data because that's mine, and politically, if I let you have it, then I'm going to lose some power, and so I'm not going to let you see the data that you need to do your job. Now, how's that helping the customer? Now, quite clearly, it is not helping the customer. Therefore, it's not helping the organization. Therefore, it is not the right thing to do. But you can't fix that as an individual. That has to come from the top tier, making sure that as that disseminates down into the leadership of all these departments, that the aspiration is we're all pulling together on the same team, not individual teams trying to stand just for ourselves and our own interests.
Yeah, I would agree with that, but it really is a top-down approach. It is, straight from Michael Dell, all the ways it casts down to our leadership team. Our organization fits into our global services organization. And then we have our leader, who's a senior vice president, my direct report, and then myself. So we have really strong alignment with our leadership team. And if you think about Dell's purpose, it's to create technologies that drive human progress, right? Okay. And that's really critical. And all 160,000 employees take that purpose and put it into action, right? Every day. Right. So, we're led by a very strong business imperative, but it's also in our DNA, and that's super important.
That's great. It sounds like you're very aligned. I think also it's safe to say, or fair to say, that for some organizations where customer success management is fairly new still, there is an element of evangelization that might need to take place where perhaps sales doesn't quite get it and understand. Perhaps there are some who aren't really clear as to what it is that we're going to do that actually is useful and helpful and above and beyond or different to what they are doing. And so that's fair enough. And I think that education and evangelization is important, and you need to give a certain amount of sort of flexibility and time for people to adjust. But ultimately, at the end of the day, we're here to serve the customer. And I think that it's very important that to have clarity over who does what and how we work together, and that this is very clearly defined and then driven from the top tier downwards. And that's how you the only way really, I think, that you can fix that.
Well, just to add on that, we stood up our customer success organization probably a little over 3 years ago. Okay. And at first there was a little bit of ambiguity, right? What's our role? What are the expectations? What value do we bring? What deliverables do we bring to our customer? Fast forward where we are today, we're truly a trusted advisor to the account team, and making an impact in the role that we have. Again, I mentioned we have a high performance team. They're really good at what they do. They're very technical. They have strong business acumen. And, I really love working with our team and being able to help solve some of our customers' biggest problems with our technology, right? So, it's what I'm trying to get to is it's come a long way. And, I'm excited to see what the next 2 to 5 years in customer success are going to bring us.
Yeah, right. And by the way, if we in customer success are not clear on what value we're adding, do not expect anyone else in our organization to be clear on it. So, and I think that we can be guilty of not taking ourselves seriously enough to be taking that step back and asking ourselves the question, okay, so what value do we really add? How are we adding that value? How are we measuring it and reporting it? And I think this is really, really important so that the rest of the organization then has the opportunity to get it. They can't get it if we don't get it. We've got to realize that we're not there as a free resource. We're an expense. We're not, we have to justify our salaries just the same as everybody else. And to do that, we need to be knowing what outcomes we need to be achieving, working towards those very clearly and measuring and reporting on what we do, showing our progress and looking at ways in which we can make ourselves more productive, more effective, more efficient, higher value, better quality, developing better trust relationships with our customers, helping them more, etc. And proving this back to ourselves and to the rest of the business.
Yeah, I would agree with that. If you think about how our role is and how we've interacted with our sales organization, I know when I was a customer success executive, I used to try to look and find little nuggets of information from our customer and just try to look at a plan where we can drive a deeper and more meaningful conversation based on, a report that they just submitted, a press release that just came out, always being proactive and looking at other areas where they're growing their business. That's super important. And I used to love to look for those little nuggets and take it back to the account team. And then let's put a plan together so we can drive those more meaningful and impactful conversations with our customers.
So this is going back to what I was saying about understanding the customer. It's so important. Understand the customer, like in general, in terms of what are the challenges that this sector or vertical industry is having, but understand that particular customer. Why have they just hired a new head of marketing, or why have they just announced a new strategy? What's behind that? What do they say? What was said in the press release? What did the CEO say that they were going to be aiming for in the next 12 months? Or what have they said is their core challenges right now? And then thinking, okay, so then what might be the impact from what Dell Technologies or whoever you are, from the products that we've got? How might we be able to help them in that strategic requirement that they have, and being creative about the approach, not waiting necessarily for the client to tell you, because they might not make the leap. They might not think those things. We want to help them to think about how we might be an even more strategic value partner to them than they thought about, because of our understanding of our products and services, their challenges, and how those fit together.
Yeah, exactly. I would totally agree with that. But then as a customer success practitioner, you have to look at everything holistically, right? Yeah. That's just really a critical part of the role that we have and the customer segment that we support. That's super important. So it's just not the products, and it's making sure that they have their desired outcomes for the investment that they've made in our products, services, and solutions. But then what's the ongoing journey that we're going to have with that customer, right? There's always an opportunity to create, I like to call it the stickiness, to continue to have the conversation and be that resource that, everybody uses the cliche of trusted advisor, but we truly are.
It's so true, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. It is.
You want to be the CSM wants to be that person that the stakeholder in the client says, you know what, I don't know what the answer is. Let's try Sandy. She might know. She usually comes up with some pretty good ideas. Yeah, we want to be like the top of the mind, like share their problems person that they naturally go to. That's the ideal. And then of course that's a very powerful position in terms of the relationship. So Chandra Russo asks, can you share how you use AI to stay or keep ahead of possible issues? And I think we've actually covered that a little bit earlier, Chandra. So go back about 10-15 minutes and we had a conversation about AI, and particularly we were talking about predictive analytics, and we were talking about moving beyond predictive even into what's sometimes described as prescriptive, where not only does it predict what will happen, but it also makes some recommendations as to then what to do about it. So go back and look at that bit, because that might help you with that question. Hannah Finch, can you talk to the topic around measurement of your team? How do you show value of non-client facing work, i.e. product feedback, writing internal learnings, internal syncs, etc.? Any thoughts on that at all, Sandy? Sorry to throw all these at you, but there've been just some great questions coming.
This is called Stump the Leader.
Yeah, yeah.
Well,
Let's find some really juicy, difficult ones, guys.
well, I will share with you that our particular team, when we think about how we approach our customer and looking at the way that we manage a variety of different aspects within the role that we have, it's really critical that we focus on. I really want our team to really focus on their customer, right? That's first and foremost. I don't want them to be focused on administrative work and
Right.
It's my role and responsibility to make sure that.
So are you saying at the end of the week, if you said, have you had a good week, and your team member said, yeah, I filled out 120 forms, it's been fantastic, you would not be that happy?
No. In fact, this year we're trying to really simplify and standardize, how we report.
Yeah.
Every team member has at the beginning of the year specific goals. And it's important that we stay on top of those goals. For career development is super important. I would share with you as a leader that it's important that each one of our team members focuses on expressing their leadership skills, volunteering to take on a project. We have this unique project that we're doing today, where I asked volunteers to step in and prepare a video and share best practices and have a little fun with it, right? So it's a great opportunity to be able to to advocate for themselves. They have to grow their career. I want to help them along the way and share some best practices that I have. But what's really important is, number one, we're measuring metrics within the team. We're reporting it up to my leadership team. Yes. That we're focusing on systemic issues that could be involved in some of our products, and making sure that we align with our product engineering teams, product design teams, so that we can share areas that require improvement based on customer feedback.
Thank you. So Hannah, and to add to that, if I may, I would say, Hannah, can you talk to top around measurement of your team? Pick some KPIs that are really important and use those as your measurement. Don't try and sort of boil the ocean with measuring everything or recording everything. It gets too complicated too quickly, and then you're going to spend all your time doing the measuring. So pick the KPIs that are things that are really critical. So, for example, success plans. If you want to be doing more success plans with your clients, then pick success plans as a KPI to measure, to say, what percentage of the clients that you're responsible for have you done a success plan with, or gone through a success plan planning process with, for example. So it's just one example. So pick specific KPIs that relate to the goals and the objectives that you have, and make sure that your team is clear what those KPIs are as well, so that they know what they need to be spending their time on, because otherwise it's not fair on them. You can't measure them on stuff they didn't know they were going to be measured on. That would be very unfair. So we've literally got 2 minutes left. So thank you for all the questions. There are even more, but we're going to have to leave it there, because I do want to I know it's just an hour's gone by just like that.
So fast.
To give you the opportunity, Sandy, just to add any final thought that you wanted to sort of give to our audience on sort of best practice in customer success and team leadership from an enterprise perspective, which was what we're meant to be talking about. I'm not so sure how much we did, but it's been great. But any final thoughts?
Well, I would share with the audience that when we think about leadership and we think about the customer success practice and discipline, first and foremost, have a deep understanding of your customer's needs. Cultivate a customer-centric mindset. I would tell each team member, and even for myself before I moved into a leadership role, volunteer to do, lead some really important initiatives, demonstrate your leadership skills, network is so critical. Seek opportunities to have mentors and sponsors, develop your own brand, and then those sponsors that are having conversations at executive levels will recommend you to take on more other positions, other roles within an organization. But, I would say that leadership is a journey. It requires continuous learning, continuous growth, and focusing on developing your skills. I know if you put all of these core components in together, you're well on your way to be successful in leadership and in customer success.
Thank you so much, Sandy. You've been just the most wonderful guest. It's been really, really fascinating. You've shared some really great insight, and I hope it's been useful. I hope others have enjoyed it as much as I have. Just to say, next month, I have the honor of interviewing Yu Mon Sang, who is the CEO at Churn Zero, and we're talking specifically about the role of AI in customer success management. So I think that will be a very interesting conversation as well. So that's the June thought leadership conversation. But for now, from myself and from Sandy, thank you so much for joining us, and it's been a wonderful hour. Thank you very much indeed, everybody.
Wonderful. Thanks, everyone. Have a great day.
Bye-bye, everyone. Thank you.